In 1953, the FBI came out with an intelligence gathering program they named cointelpro. This program was already corrupt, but after recruiting local and state law enforcement, it took corruption to a whole new level. Civil rights violations, perjury, breaking and entering, vandalizing, standard run-of-the-mill for this group. The corruption got so bad that they shut the program down in 1971, supposedly. I say supposedly because after their official shutdown, they were credited with placing over 500 bugs and opening up over 2,000 pieces of mail without one single warrant. And all that during 1972 to 74. For the next decade, they managed to fly under the radar until a counterintelligence guide on the war on terror created by the Reagan administration opened the door back up for COINTELPRO. But it was a piece of legislation signed by the Obama administration that really turned the COINTELPRO into the monster it is today.
The Obama administration has expanded the National Terrorist Watch List system by approving broad guidelines over who can be targeted. Reporting for The Intercept, Jeremy Scahill and Ryan Devereaux obtained the government's secret watch list from an intelligence source. The guidebook says that to be deemed a terrorist target, quote, irrefutable evidence or concrete facts are not necessary. Both known and suspected suspects are tracked, and terrorism is so broadly defined it includes people accused of damaging property belonging to the government or financial institutions. Other factors that can justify inclusion include postings on social media or having a relative already deemed a terrorist. The guidebook's criteria also apply to the no-fly list and the selectee list. In a statement, Hina Shamsi of the American Civil Liberties Union said, quote, instead of a watch list limited to actual known terrorists, the government is secretly blacklisting people as suspected terrorists and giving them the impossible task of proving themselves innocent of a threat they haven't carried out.
Little to no burden of proof or evidence to put somebody on the terrorist watch list. Fast forward to today, and COINTELPRO is new and improved and strong as ever, operating in every state of the union, and more corrupt than ever. You'll find them centralized and operating out of very secretive agencies called fusion centers. What are fusion centers, you might ask?
Useless and costly effort that tramples on civil liberties. The Department of Homeland Security, yes indeed, created dozens of so-called fusion centers. What are fusion centers? Well, they're set up to share intelligence across multiple departments, and they came about in the aftermath of the attacks of 9/11. Fusion centers. Sounds awesome, right? According to the bipartisan Senate investigation, the program found no potential terrorist activity, none, and often spied on innocent Americans. Department of Homeland Security spying on innocent Americans? Oh my goodness. And the cost? Up to $1 billion. The report indicates, and I quote, the subcommittee investigation found that the fusion centers often produced irrelevant, useless, and/or inappropriate intelligence reporting to DHS, and many produced no intelligence reporting whatsoever. A Homeland Security spokesman blasts the report in a statement and says, quote, the committee report on federal support for fusion centers is out of date, inaccurate, and misleading. With us now, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. $1 billion plus to spy on innocent Americans. Welcome to the new normal.
Right. It is the new normal, unfortunately, Shep. In fact, the Department of Homeland Security says it doesn't know how much money it spent, and it puts it at a range between $300 million and $1 billion. The Senate committee, which was signed by more Democrats than Republicans, says that $1.4 billion has been spent, that the Senate committee counted a different number of fusion centers than DHS claims it has, and that they were more dedicated to the lawless, unconstitutional violation of civil liberties by spying on people without getting search warrants than they were to developing legitimate intelligence which would help secure our freedom or our safety. Now, some of this people have been complaining about for a long time. Now we have the United States Senate saying the complaints are true. These are rogue law enforcement people serving no good, just becoming spies.
Did they forget what their directive was? Did they forget what they were supposed to do and just get all caught up in the power of being able to look down on people and see what they're doing?
Well, the directive was to enable state and local and federal intelligence and law enforcement to exchange information so that the right hand would know what the left hand was doing. But the information that they chose to exchange had next to nothing to do with national security. There was not a single meaningful allegation or indictment or prosecution for national security that came out of this. In fact, because these were federal centers, they were frequently manned by local law enforcement from a different locality. Some of these guys got bored and decided to go out on the road and enforce local laws, and suddenly they found out they weren't authorized to do so in those states. That frustrated local law enforcement because these guys were bored in the fusion centers.